to Gone Fishing. I'm Captain Mack Farr. My guest today is Captain Rick Owens from Lake Hartwell. He's going to come down and spend a day with me here on Lake Lanier. We're going to take you summertime striper fishing. And that means some down rods, light bait on a down rod, maybe a little trolling. And we got a different twist today called power reeling. Rick, have you guys ever used that technique at Hartwell?
Never tried it on Lake Hartwell. Heard a lot about it and I'm excited about it. Let's go get after it.
Well, I think it'll work. It'll work here. It's basically taking a bucktail jig, pinning a live or dead herring on him, and you're reeling him up and down. Instead of the traditional presentation of a bait on this plane, we're going to show it to him this way. Rick, it's worked here for me. I think it'll work for you at Hartwell, and I think it'll work for you no matter where you fish. So let's go get them. What I'm trying to do here, we've got some fish moving around. A lot of them are in timber. It's a real hard tree line right at 30 feet. The fish are down in the trees, right at the top of the tree line or down in it. So we're trying to get the fish to react to a moving bait. Instead of a down line just hanging there, I'm gonna drop my jig right to the top of the trees and then crank it up about 10 feet, take it out of gear, let it go back down to the tree line, crank it up 10 feet. And a lot of times the fish that are in that tree, when the jig comes up away from them, they'll dart up there and grab it. It's purely reactionary. But sometimes it gets a bite where a bait hanging on a down rod won't, where it's stationary or it's not moving. The fish, this bait's getting away from him. When you reel it up like this, fish sitting in the trees watching that jig take off, a lot of times he'll run up there and get it because he's afraid if he doesn't, it's going to be gone. It's a good trick to try. It works best when you're dropping down to timber. It works best, I think, when you can get your jig under a fish and pull it back through them. But sometimes even if they're on the bottom, you can drop the jig right to the bottom and reel it up. And you want to reel it pretty briskly. Again, to get that reaction bite, that speed a lot of times. This retrieve, as opposed to a steady or slow retrieve, a lot of times will draw a strike more quickly. Came right out of those treetops. Whoa, look at him going. All right, hold up here, fish. I got to get him out of that big old tree. Whoa. That's one thing you really got to watch when your jig's right on those treetops. A lot of times if you can just get 10, 12 feet of line back, you're okay, but well, he was right on it too. I like to pull my arms out of the socket. Rick, that fish was about 60 feet when I hooked him.
Okay, need some help, holler.
All right, I think I got him out of the trees. If I can finish the deal here. Man, he's pulling. Whoa. I don't think they like to come out of that old deep, cold water. I still hadn't seen him. I still got a lot. He's getting close. There he is. Nice striper. I think we can just lip this one. Wow, that was quite a tussle. Now he's caught. Good looking fish.
Beautiful fish.
A nice heavy full body fish. I get a look at him and we're going to turn him loose. Well, he was excited about that decision. All right. Let's see if we can get his brother on there. And normally I keep a pretty tight drag for that very reason. When I'm dropping it on treetops, it's almost the mentality you'd have to have if you were fishing for a grouper, where you can't let him have a lot of line because he's gonna, if you let him get down there 8, 10, 12 feet, if the trees are really thick, it's hard to get him out of there, even with big beefy tackle. So you want a rod that's heavy enough that you can stop him, keep your drag kind of tight. 20, 25 pound test I think is mandatory. The rigging for power reeling is very simple. This is a 2-ounce chipmunk jig. This particular model has a stinger hook, which really can be an asset. Other than that, we're going straight to 25-pound monofilament, 2-ounce jig, and a 2-ounce jig, at least a 1.5 is essential because these fish may be 60 or 80, maybe 100 feet deep. A smaller jig won't get down there quickly enough. You want something when you see the fish, you can drop it straight down to them and reel it straight up and down where it stays straight up, as opposed to drifting off where your line's at a 20 or 30 degree angle. So we want a 2-ounce jig, 25-pound test, particularly if you're in a lake like Hartwell or Lanier where there's a lot of timber. You need a big heavy line and something that's abrasion resistant. Now, sometimes they'll take a jig like this fine, particularly with this stinger. That's like a broken back plug. It gives it a little extra. But a lot of times I'll tip it with a live herring or a frozen herring. Now I know you're thinking, a dead herring, Mac, a striper, eat a dead herring? Yes, he will. Because when you're power reeling, there's so much motion, so much movement, you don't have to have a live bait. It's just like trolling an artificial. The movement fools the fish into thinking it's alive. If you're gonna tip your jig with a herring or whatever the bait of choice may be on the impoundments you fish, hook him just like you're hooking him a live bait on a down rod, just like this, okay? Now we don't wanna hook him on the stinger. That nullifies the stinger hook because he can still short bite that. This way, when you're reeling the fish, whether it's up or down, this hook will tend to lay right beside him. If he wants to short bite it, we'll have a surprise for him. Some days the addition of a live bait makes a big difference. Some days you can use a plastic trailer. But again, play around with that. Every day's different, every lake's different. But that's your terminal rigging. 2-ounce chipmunk jig, stinger hook, and a herring. You're ready to power reel. There he is, attaboy. Get him up here.
There he's coming.
Did you hit it on the way down?
Yeah,
oh man.
That's a good fish right there.
You have got a man on there.
That's a grown fish there.
He's thinking about treetops all the way, isn't he?
This power reeling is a trick, man. I'll tell you what, that felt good.
You know, Rick, like yourself, I've caught a lot of stripers a lot of different ways. And there's any way you can get a fish to bite is good. I don't know, it's about my favorite here.
I've caught thousands of fish, and this is my first power reeling, and this is a good fish.
You seen him yet?
Good way to start. Haven't seen him, haven't even turned him yet.
Man.
Good fish.
Yeah, he's getting after it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting after it.
Tell me if you need me to clear a rod, or I'm gonna keep fishing till I'm gonna get his brother. There he is. Oh, I had his brother and I lost him. Doggone it.
Good fish. Typical striper, he's making that long run.
Yeah, he's getting after it pretty hard with you there, isn't he?
Yeah, you're right about one thing. He'll take the rod and reel out of your hand. You're not real careful.
It's one of the most powerful bites you'll ever get. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna lip that one for you when you get him up here.
This fish hadn't decided he wants to come to the boats yet.
Well, you were probably 60 feet when he bit it?
I dropped it 60 feet and I turned it one turn, he nailed it.
Well, and he got some line off your reel, so you have to winch that fish up from 80 feet.
Yeah, he probably pulled 20 yards of line off before I could even get the rod tip up.
Boy, I'm so nervous I can't get my bait on the hook. Have you seen that thing yet?
I haven't even seen this fish yet.
I caught a glimpse of him there.
That's a beautiful fish. Here he is.
All right, I'm coming to get you.
Mind the trolling motor. Beautiful fish. Teenager.
Slide him over here. Whoa. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Old chipmunk got him. Whoa, shake that big old head. Look at there.
Big, beautiful fish.
Nice Lake Lanier striper. Power reeling striper. Hold that up. Get your picture there, Mr. Rick.
That's a beautiful fish.
Hey, I hate to bail out on you, buddy. I'm gonna get his brother on here.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna release this fish.
Release him. Let's see if we can catch another one. Good job, Mr. Rick.
Beautiful Lake Lanier striper. And there he goes. How about that? That was almost too much fun. Put another bait on, try that again. Mac, what's the deepest you've ever caught a fish power reeling?
I've caught them as deep as 100 feet, Rick. Now I know on your lake, Lake Hartwell, it's pretty common. You guys fish deep up there all the time, don't you?
Yeah, so this time of year you better be fishing deep if you want to catch a fish.
But it's been my experience, you know, it may work in any depth, so I don't want people to limit it to a certain depth. I don't, you know, gosh, I've caught them as shallow as 20. I've caught them as deep as 100. Oh, that was a treetop, I think. I've caught them as deep as 110. Most times here on Lanier in the summer, most of our fish, summer, let's define that. Let's say July 4th through mid-September. We're gonna have a lot of fish that will be 50, 60, 70 feet. And what I really like to do is drop the jig under the fish and bring it back through him, up under him, past him this way. And I just gauge my depth, how deep I'm gonna fish by what I'm seeing on the ground. But don't be afraid to go 60, 80 feet.